The rain hammered the windshield like 1,000 unspoken regrets, turning the Seattle streets into a blurred watercolor of regret and what-ifs. I sat in the passenger seat of Jordan's SUV, my heart pounding louder than the storm outside, knowing that one wrong word could shatter the fragile wall we'd built between boss and employee. But as his hand brushed mine in the dim glow of the dashboard, I realized the driveway ahead wasn't just a destination. It was the edge of everything we'd been denying. I'd always prided myself on keeping my world separate, the polished chaos of Hayes Innovations by day, where I crunched data as a mid-level analyst, and the quiet corners of my life by night, where I nursed a secret ache for something real amid the parade of fleeting hookups in Capitol Hill's dimly lit bars. At 28, Alex Rivera was supposed to have it figured out. Immigrant parents from Mexico who'd sacrificed everything for my shot at the American dream. A cozy apartment in Fremont overlooking the Ship Canal, and a job that paid the bills without demanding my soul. But Jordan Hayes? He was the soul-demanding kind. 35, sharp as the Cascade Peaks, with eyes like Puget Sound on a stormy day, deep blue, pulling you under before you even realized you were swimming. It started innocently enough, or so I told myself that Monday morning when the office flooded with the usual grind. Hayes Innovations specialized in sustainable tech, solar grids for urban sprawl, apps that turned waste into wealth, and Jordan ran it like a maestro, his voice cutting through boardroom noise with the precision of a knife. I'd caught glimpses of him over the past year. The way his laugh lines crinkled when he praised a team's breakthrough, or how he'd linger by my desk, asking about my weekend with a casualness that felt anything but. Alex, that forecast model you built? It's gold. Saved us a fortune on that Portland rollout. His compliments were rare, but they landed like sunlight breaking through clouds, warming places I'd long kept in shadow. That day, though, the forecast was mine to bear. Seattle's autumn deluge had turned the commute into a nightmare. Buses stalled, ferries canceled, and by 7 p.m., the office was a ghost town except for us stragglers. I was the last one packing up, my laptop bag slung over my shoulder, when Jordan appeared in the doorway of my cubicle, tie loosened, sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms dusted with that salt and pepper hair that made my pulse stutter. "Rivera, you heading out into this mess?" His voice was low, laced with that effortless authority that made interns swoon and executives sweat. I shrugged, forcing nonchalance. "Yeah, boss. Uber's surging like crazy. I'll swim if I have to." He chuckled, a sound that rumbled like distant thunder. "Not on my watch. Come on, I'm parked out front. Fremont's on my way." My brain short-circuited. Jordan lived in Queen Anne, all hilltop views and historic charm, a world away from my modest bungalow. But the rain was biblical, and the thought of sharing that confined space with him? It was a temptation wrapped in practicality. "You sure? I don't want to impose." "Impose?" He raised an eyebrow, grabbing his keys. "Alex, after the way you pulled that Q3 report out of the fire last week, consider this hazard pay." We dashed through the lot, the downpour soaking us in seconds. His SUV smelled like leather and cedar cologne, a scent that clung to him in meetings and now enveloped me like a secret. The wipers slashed rhythmically as he merged onto I-5, the city lights smearing into streaks of gold and red. Small talk flowed easy at first, complaints about the Mariners' latest loss, a shared eye roll at the new coffee machine's bitterness. But as the miles ticked down, the silence grew heavier, charged with the kind of electricity that precedes a lightning strike. "You ever think about jumping ship?" he asked suddenly, eyes on the road but voice probing deeper. "This industry's a beast. Eats ambition for breakfast." I glanced at him, the profile of his face etched in sodium glow. "Sometimes. But Hayes Innovations? It's not just a job. Feels like purpose, you know? Building something that lasts." He nodded, jaw tightening. "Purpose? Yeah, that's what got me into this. After my divorce." The word hung there, a grenade with the pin half pulled. Jordan Hayes divorced? The office rumor mill whispered about an ex-wife, a high society type who'd bailed years ago, but details were scarce. He never talked personal, and I'd never pried. Now, in the cocoon of his car, it cracked open just enough to glimpse the man beneath the suit. "Sorry," I muttered, heat rising in my cheeks. "Didn't mean to." "No, it's fine." He waved it off, but his grip on the wheel whitened. "Elena and I, it was a lifetime ago. We thought we were building an empire, but turns out we were just playing house. She wanted kids, picket fences. I wanted." He trailed off, exhaling sharply. "Something honest." Honest. The word echoed in my chest, stirring the ghosts I'd buried. My family back in East LA knew I was gay, sort of. A hushed conversation over tamales at Christmas, my mom's teary, "As long as you're happy, Mijo," and my dad's stoic nod. But here in Seattle, 2,000 miles from that safety net, honesty felt like a luxury. Dates were distractions, connections that fizzled before they could burn. And Jordan? He was the flame I couldn't touch. We turned onto my street, the bungalow coming into view, its porch light a lonely beacon in the storm. He pulled into the driveway, engine idling, rain a relentless curtain between us and the world. "Home sweet home," he said, but neither of us moved. The air thickened, my skin prickling as if the storm had seeped inside. "Thanks for the ride, Jordan." Seriously, I unbuckled, hand on the door, but my eyes locked on his. In that suspended moment, the dashboard light caught the vulnerability in his gaze, raw, unguarded, like he'd been carrying this weight alone for years. "Alex," he said, voice rough, "there's something I need to." The thunderclap drowned him out, or maybe it was my heartbeat. But then his hand was on my arm, warm and steady, pulling me back from the edge of escape. And in that driveway, with the world washed away, everything we pretended not to see crashed into focus. I don't know who moved first. Maybe it was the way his thumb traced a slow circle on my wrist, or how my breath hitched like a confession. But suddenly, his lips were on mine, tentative at first, tasting of rain and restraint. It was fire and flood, a kiss that stripped away titles and pretenses, leaving only the truth we'd both been chasing. His fingers threaded into my hair, pulling me closer, and I melted into it, the seatbelt digging into my side like a reminder that this was real, messy, alive. When we broke apart, gasping, his forehead pressed to mine. "God, Alex, I've wanted that since the day you walked into my office with that damn portfolio under your arm." My laugh was shaky, disbelieving. "You're my boss. This is insane. Insane." He pulled back just enough to search my eyes, his own stormy with fear and fire. "Or the first honest thing I've done in years." But honesty has teeth. As the rain eased to a drizzle, headlights swept the driveway, a black sedan pulling up behind us, its engine cutting with ominous finality. Jordan's face drained of color. "Shit, that's Marcus." Marcus Hale, his right-hand man, the VP who'd been gunning for Jordan's throne since the merger talks heated up. And there, stepping out with an umbrella, was Elena, his ex, sleek and composed, her arm linked with Marcus's like a victory lap. They approached the window, rain dripping from the umbrella's edge. Elena's smile was all ice. "Jordan, darling, we need to talk. Now." The driveway, moments ago a sanctuary, turned battlefield. What happened next would unravel everything. But in the ruins, we'd find the strength to rebuild, not as boss and employee, but as two men daring to love without apology. That night blurred into a haze of confrontation and revelation, the kind that reshapes your bones. Marcus and Elena had timed their ambush perfectly, leveraging old wounds to strike at Jordan's empire. Inside my bungalow, with the four of us crammed into the living room, me hovering awkwardly by the kitchen island, Jordan pacing like a caged wolf, they laid it bare. "The board's calling an emergency vote tomorrow," Marcus said, his voice oily smooth, adjusting his cufflinks. "Your little innovations are bleeding cash, Jordan. Time for fresh blood." Elena chimed in, her gaze flicking to me with calculated disdain. "And this? Chasing tail on company time? Pathetic. I always knew you were hiding, but this..." Jordan's laugh was bitter, devoid of humor. "Hiding? From what, Elena? You? The life we faked because I was too scared to admit who I am." He turned to me then, his eyes pleading for understanding in a room thick with betrayal. "Alex isn't tail. He's the reason I remember why I started this company. To build something true, not just profitable." I stood frozen, the weight of their stares pinning me. This wasn't just about a kiss. It was a referendum on everything I'd buried. Growing up, I'd learned to code my emotions like buggy algorithms. Fix the surface, ignore the crash. But Jordan's vulnerability cracked my shell. "Jordan," I said softly, stepping forward, "you don't have to fight this alone." Marcus snorted, touching. "But the merger docs are ironclad. Sign over control, or we go public with your distractions." The threat hung like smoke, but Jordan's chin lifted, defiant sparking. "Distractions? Try the spark that's kept me going. Get out, both of you. We'll see you in the boardroom." They left with slammed doors and whispered barbs, the rain picking up again as if to wash away the poison. Alone at last, Jordan sank onto my worn couch, head in hands. I knelt before him, my hands on his knees, feeling the tremor beneath the tailored slacks. "What now?" I whispered. He looked up, eyes glistening. "Now? We fight. Together. If you'll have me." I nodded, pulling him into an embrace that said what words couldn't. That night, we talked until dawn. His marriage a cage of convenience, my fears of rejection a shadow from boyhood taunts. But dawn brings clarity, and with it, the storm's aftermath. Words spread like wildfire through the office grapevine. Whispers of scandal, sidelong glances as I clocked in that Tuesday. Jordan called an all-hands at noon, standing tall at the podium in our glass-walled conference room overlooking Elliott Bay. "Hayes Innovations isn't about numbers," he began, voice steady as steel. "It's about vision. And lately, I've lost sight of mine." Pauses rippled through the crowd. But someone reminded me what we're really building here. Connections that matter, innovations that heal the world, not just line pockets. Eyes turned to me, speculative and sharp. Heat flooded my face, but I held his gaze across the room, a silent vow. After, in the hallway, colleagues clapped his back, but the undercurrent was tense. Marcus lurked by the elevators, phone in hand, no doubt rallying proxies. That evening, Jordan showed up at my door with takeout from Pike Place, salmon chowder and sourdough, grease-spotted bags that smelled like home. "Truce?" he asked, sheepish grin belying the exhaustion in his eyes. More than truce. I pulled him inside, our kiss hungrier now, laced with the adrenaline of survival. We ate on the floor, backs against the couch, trading stories like ammunition. He confessed the bisexuality he'd buried under straight-laced expectations, the affairs that fizzled because they lacked depth. I shared the grinder ghosts, the family dinners where I dodged questions about that nice girl from work. As night fell, his head on my shoulder, he murmured, "This scares me, Alex. Losing the company? Fine. But losing you? Unthinkable." The board meeting loomed like a guillotine, set for Friday in the executive suite with its panoramic views of the Olympics. Jordan prepped warily, poring over financials I'd helped refine, our late nights a blur of spreadsheets and stolen touches. Thursday, Elena cornered me in the parking garage, her heels echoing like accusations. "He's using you, to distract from his failures. Walk away now, before you get burned." Her words wormed in, doubt's old friend. That night, alone while Jordan schmoozed investors, I paced my living room, phone in hand. Text from my sister in LA, "Mijo, love doesn't hide. Be brave." Simple words, but they anchored me. Friday dawned crisp, the rare Seattle sun gilding the sound. The meeting room buzzed, suits from venture firms, Marcus smirking at the head, Elena a ghost in pearls. Jordan entered last, me at his side as consultant, my presence a quiet statement. Presentations flew, projections I'd modeled, prototypes gleaming under fluorescence. Then Marcus struck, unveiling doctored ledgers painting Jordan as reckless. The room erupted in murmurs. Jordan's face paled, but before he could respond, I stood. "Those numbers are manipulated. See here, the timestamp metadata." I projected my analysis, lines of code unraveling their web. Gasps echoed, Marcus's smirk cracked. "You," he sputtered. "His pet project?" "His partner," Jordan corrected, voice thunderous. "In every sense. And if that's a problem, the door's open." Silence, then applause, tentative at first, swelling as board members nodded. Elena slipped out, Marcus defeated. By meeting's end, the vote was unanimous. Jordan retained control, with a new mandate for authentic leadership. We celebrated quietly that night, atop Cary Park with the skyline at our feet. His arm around me, city lights winking like conspirators. "You saved me," he whispered. We saved each other. Our kiss tasted of victory, salt tinged by wind. Months blurred into a rhythm both fierce and tender. Hayes Innovations thrived, new grants for queer-led startups, diversity initiatives I championed. Jordan proposed over dim sum in the International District, rings simple silver etched with coordinates of that fateful driveway. "Marry me, Alex. Let's build the life we deserve." Tears pricked as I said yes, the weight of acceptance lifting like fog. Our wedding was small. Family from LA mingling with Seattle friends under a rainbow canopy at Discovery Park, vows exchanged with the sound crashing approval. Years on, with adopted twins and a hybrid home in Ballard, that driveway remains our touchstone. A reminder that love isn't found in boardrooms or bars. but in the courage to pull over, turn off the engine, and let the rain witness your truth. In America's vast tapestry, we wove our thread, vibrant, unapologetic, eternal. The twins' laughter echoed through the house like wind chimes in a breeze, a sound that still caught me off guard after all these years. Luca and Sophia, for now, with Jordan's blue eyes and my unruly curls, chased each other around the kitchen island, their tiny feet pattering on the reclaimed wood floors we'd installed last spring. Jordan scooped Sophia up mid-sprint, her giggles bubbling as he spun her high. "Papa's got you," he called, voice warm with that effortless joy he'd only fully unlocked after we said our vows. I leaned against the counter, stirring pozole for dinner, the hominy rich with pork and chiles, a nod to my roots that Jordan devoured with the enthusiasm of a convert. At 32 now, life had softened my edges without dulling the fire. Hayes Innovations had ballooned into a beacon for ethical tech, our queer-inclusive policies drawing talent from coasts and heartlands alike. But success's shadow lingered, competitors sniffing for weakness, old ghosts like Marcus who'd slunk to Silicon Valley only to resurface with veiled threats. That morning's email had been innocuous, a networking invite from Hale Ventures, Marcus's rebranded empire. "Let's bury the hatchet, old friend," it read, laced with subtext that set my teeth on edge. Jordan dismissed it over breakfast, kissing my temple. "Water under the bridge, amor. We've got this." But bridges have pilings, and some run deep. As evening deepened, the kids tucked in with stories of brave knights and dragon-slaying coders. Jordan and I retreated to the back deck. Ballard's summer dusk painted the sky in hues of lavender and gold, the hum of distant fairies a lullaby. We shared a bottle of Willamette Valley Pinot, his hand tracing lazy patterns on my thigh. "Remember that first storm?" he murmured, nuzzling my neck. "How the world narrowed to just us in that driveway." I smiled, the memory vivid as yesterday. "How could I forget? You kissed like a man drowning. And you pulled me to shore." His eyes darkened, not with storm but with the heat that still simmered between us. We made love under the stars that night, slow and reverent, bodies mapping familiar territories with the wonder of rediscovery. Monday brought the serpent to our garden. The invite was no olive branch. Marcus arrived at our downtown office unannounced, flanked by a PR shark in stilettos. "Jordan, Alex, congratulations on the family milestone," he oozed, sliding into the conference chair like he owned it. "But let's talk synergies. Your eco apps are cute, but my AI integrations could scale you global." Jordan's jaw ticked, but his tone stayed even. "Appreciate the pitch, Marcus. Send the deck, we'll review." The shark leaned in, all teeth. "Or we could make it personal. I hear the board's murmuring about succession. With twins, priorities shift, right?" Threat veiled as concern. My blood boiled. How dare they weaponize our joy? But Jordan's hand found mine under the table, squeezing. "Priorities? Yes. Family first. And integrity. Doors that way." They left with frosty nods, but the chill lingered. That afternoon, as I debugged a solar forecast glitch in my corner office, perks of promotion to lead analyst, doubt crept in. What if they dug up old dirt? Elena had vanished post-divorce, but grudges fester. Jordan sensed it, appearing with lattes from the corner cart. "Hey, warrior, walk with me." We strolled the waterfront, gulls wheeling overhead, the Olympic mountains a jagged promise on the horizon. "They're bluffing," he said, arm around my waist. "Marcus is all bark since that antitrust slap last year. But if they push..." I trailed off, voicing the fear. "The kids. The life we've built." He stopped, turning me to face him, hands cupping my cheeks. "Then we fight smarter. Together. Like always." His kiss was fierce, sealing the pact, salt air mingling with coffee on our tongues. The escalation came swift. By week's end, anonymous leaks hit tech blogs. Hayes Innovations, Family Man or Fallback Empire, grainy photos from our wedding, twisted into narratives of distraction at the top. Stock dipped 3%, investors jittery. Jordan fielded calls like a prize fighter, but exhaustion etched lines around his eyes. I rallied the team that Friday. Our core crew of coders and dreamers, many queer like me, who joined because Jordan made space for authenticity. "We're not just building apps," I told them, voice steady. "We're building futures. Let's show them." By midnight, we'd prototyped a Counter-Strike, an open-source tool exposing AI biases in corporate mergers, time to drop with a presser. Launch day dawned chaotic, reporters swarming our lobby, Marcus's camp countering with paid smears. Jordan and I stood shoulder to shoulder at the podium, kids' drawings tucked in his pocket for luck. Hayes Innovations stands for transparency, he declared, unveiling the tool to thunderous applause. Not just in code, but in who we are. The tide turned. Blogs pivoted, praising our bold vulnerability. Marcus's stock cratered under scrutiny, his empire a house of cards collapsing. That night, driveway déjà vu, Jordan pulled into our spot, engine humming. But this time, no storm, just starlight and the twins' nightlight glowing through the window. He killed the ignition, turning to me with that grin. Home. With you. Always. Our kiss lingered, a vow renewed. In the years since, we've mentored startups, advocated for trans rights in Olympia, watched Luca code his first game, and Sophia sketch solar panels. Love, we'd learned, isn't a driveway moment. It's the miles after, navigated with grit and grace. Yet echoes persist. A decade on, at 42 and 38, with silver threading our hair, we drive those same Seattle roads. One rainy eve, pulling into the old bungalow we'd kept as a rental. Now home to a young queer couple starting out, Jordan glances over. Think they believe our story? I squeeze his hand. They will, because it's theirs too. And in that eternal driveway, everything changes, again, for the better. Luca's first school play was a disaster waiting to happen, or so I feared as we settled into the folding chairs of the Fremont Community Center auditorium. At 6, our son had inherited Jordan's dramatic flair and my tendency to overthink, casting him perfectly as the hapless sidekick in a tale of eco-pirates saving the sound. Sophia, ever the director, sat between us, clutching her stuffed orca like a talisman, whispering stage directions to the air. Jordan's hand enveloped mine in the dim light, thumb stroking reassurance. He'll nail it, Alex. Just like his old man in that disastrous investor pitch back in 28. I snorted, the memory a bomb. That pitch, pre-us, when Jordan had fumbled a demo, spilling coffee on a VC's lap, had nearly tanked a funding round. But he'd owned it with charm, turning mishap into lore. Now, at 45, he was the unflappable CEO, but fatherhood had humbled him into something softer, wiser. The curtain rose to creaks and cheers, Luca bounding on stage in a pirate hat fashioned from recycled cardboard. His lines boomed. But the ocean's crying, Captain, drawing laughs and my throat-tight pride. Midway, though, cue the chaos. The prop wave machine malfunctioned, drenching the cast in a salty spray. Luca froze, eyes wide, then ad-libbed. See? The sea's fighting back. We gotta code her calm. The audience roared. Even the principal wiped tears of mirth. Backstage post-bow, Jordan swept him up. My hero hacker. That was genius. Luca beamed, hugging tight. Like you and Dad, right? Fixing stuff together. Exactly, buddy. Jordan's glance met mine over his head, laden with layers. The boy before us a mirror of our own salvaged storms. Homeward, the drive was a symphony of recaps, Sophia reenacting the deluge with water bottle squirts. But as we crested the Queen and Hill, Jordan's phone buzzed, an unknown number. He silenced it, but tension rippled. Work? Ghosts, he muttered, pulling into our driveway. The house, expanded with a sunroom for the kids' art nook, glowed welcoming. But inside, over chamomile tea, he confessed, Elena's back. Reached out through a mutual. Wants to meet. For closure, she says. My stomach nodded. Elena, ex-wife, ex-nemesis, had faded to footnote after the merger debacle, remarried to some venture bro in Austin. Why now? And he sighed, rubbing his temple. I owe her nothing, but the kids. If she wants a role, auntie or whatever, I can't slam the door. Jealousy flickered, irrational but real. Our life was mosaic, my family's warmth blending with his reserved wasp roots. But Elena was the crack beneath. Just be careful. She's got history of wielding olive branches like swords. He pulled me close, lips brushing my forehead. You're my history now. My future. Sleep came fitful, dreams tangled with boardroom betrayals and playground whispers. Morning brought Elena's arrival. Poised at our door in linen and pearls, a bottle of organic Merlot in hand. The kids mobbed her with polite curiosity, Luca showing off his play sword while Sophia quizzed her on pirate lore. Over brunch, my killiquiles earning wary approval. She thawed, sharing tales of her twins, a boy and girl echoing our own. They're Spitfires, she said, watching Sophia sketch. Like Alex must have been. I forced a smile. Still am. Post-nap, With kids occupied, we three sat on the deck. Elena's mask slipped. Jordan, I was wrong. Back then, pushing for normalcy, resenting your truth. Therapy's a bitch, but it's opened my eyes. I want to support you. Us. As family, if you'll allow. Vulnerability from her. It disarmed. Jordan nodded slowly. Apology accepted. But boundaries, Elena. We're not rewriting the past. She agreed, tears glinting. Fair. And Alex, I'm sorry for the garage stunt. You deserved better. Forgiven, I said, meaning it. Grace, we'd learned, was the ultimate innovation. She left with hugs and playdate promises, the air lighter. That evening, as Jordan grilled salmon on the deck, Luca tugged my sleeve. Auntie Elena's cool. Like a pirate queen. Jordan overheard, chuckling. She is at that. Later, in bed, his body curled to mine, he whispered, You handled that like a pro. Love you for it. Love you more. Our rhythm was unhurried, a dance honed by time, peaking in whispers of forever. But closure invites openings. Weeks later, Elena's influence bloomed. Joint funding for a youth STEM camp, her Austin network funneling grants. Marcus, hearing winds of alliance, slithered back with a joint venture pitch, this time genuine, his ego deflated by market shifts. We vetted it warily, the four of us, Jordan, me, Elena, even her husband via Zoom, dissecting terms over virtual wine. No strings, Marcus swore, eyes earnest. Redemption arc. Jordan glanced at me, seeking anchor. I nodded. Test run. Prove it. The venture launched small, a pilot app for cross-border eco-data, and soared, metrics gleaming like vindication. At the rollout gala in Pioneer Square, chandeliers dripping light, Jordan toasted. To second chances. And the loves that make them possible. Marcus clinked glasses, Elena beaming beside her brood. Luca and Sophia, in tiny tuxes, stole the show with an impromptu rap about code and oceans. Dancing later, Jordan's arms around me amid swirling skirts, he murmured, This, us, them, all of it. It's the empire I always wanted. Under ballroom stars, our kiss sealed it. Life's driveways multiply, each turn a chance to accelerate into light. And we'd mastered the wheel, together. Sophia's 8th birthday fell on a rare Seattle scorcher, the kind that turned the city into a steamy embrace and had everyone fleeing to Golden Gardens Beach. We'd rented a pavilion, string lights twinkling premature against the dusk, tables groaning under piñatas shaped like sea turtles and platters of tres leches cake I'd baked at dawn. Family flew in, my parents from L.A., their accents thick with pride as Abuela fussed over Sophia's seashell crown. Jordan's sister from Portland, her wife wrangling their toddler with practiced ease. Luca, ever the protector, organized sack races on the sand, his laughter carrying over the waves. Jordan manned the grill, apron smeared with sauce, stealing kisses when he thought I wasn't looking. At 40, fatherhood and love had carved him into something sculpted, lines of laughter deepening the blue of his eyes, his hugs a harbor against any tide. But mid-afternoon, as kids splashed in the shallows, my phone vibrated. A text from an unknown. Enjoy the party. But check the news. Your fairy tales got cracks. Attached, a link to a gossip rag. Hayes airs hidden heartbreak. CEO's past affair rocks family empire. Heart plummeting, I clicked. Blurry photos. Me, younger, outside a Capitol Hill club with a faceless hookup from years pre-Jordan. Caption sneered. Before the boss, analyst Alex Rivera played the field. Is Hayes' innovations built on betrayal, rage, and nausea ward? This was Marcus's ghost, or Elena's. No, deeper dig, perhaps a disgruntled ex-employee. Jordan caught my pallor, materializing with a beer. Alex, talk to me. I shoved the phone at him, voice tight. Leak. Old dirt. They're coming for us again. His face hardened, scrolling. Then, softening, he pocketed the device. Let them. This changes nothing. But his eyes betrayed the lie. Fear for the kids, the optics. Party resumed in forced gaiety, but cracks spiderwebbed. My mom pulled me aside by the dunes, her hand on my arm. Mijo, whoever stirs this mud, you stand tall. You've built clean. Her words anchored, but sleep evaded that night. Jordan tossed beside me, finally voicing the storm. What if it scares them? The kids, hearing whispers at school. Then we teach them truth trumps tabloids. I rolled to face him, tracing his jaw. We're not hiding anymore. Dawn brought strategy. We lawyered up, cease and desist drafted, PR firm spinning narrative toward resilience. By noon, Jordan addressed the team via all-hands video, Gossip's the shadow of success. But we're light. Innovators, families, fighters. Let's outshine it. Responses flooded. Support emojis. Personal stories of overcoming smears. Even Elena texted, Vipers. Need Austin muscle. Grateful, I replied yes. Her network unearthed the leaker, a former intern, bitter over a past promotion, in cahoots with a tabloid freelancer. Lawsuit loomed, apology extracted by evening. But the real battle waged inward. Luca overheard playground chatter Monday, coming home with downcast eyes. Kids said you're a cheater, Dad. Like in movies. My heart fractured. Kneeling, I met his gaze. Those are stories, not us. Remember the play? Waves crash, but we code the calm. Daddy and I, we're the heroes, loving honest. He nodded, hugging fierce. Promise. Promise. Jordan joined, family huddle turning tears to tickles. The scandal faded like sea foam, but it gifted clarity. We launched Truth Threads, a company initiative for digital literacy, workshops teaching kids to vet fakes. Sophia designed the logo, a phoenix from pixels. Enrollments boomed, media pivoting to praise. Fall brought harvest, Luca's soccer triumphs, Sophia's poetry slams. One crisp eve, driving home from a parent-teacher night, Jordan veered into our old Fremont driveway, unannounced. The bungalow stood sold, but memory clung. Flashback, he said, killing the engine. Rain pattered soft, a gentle echo. 10 years ago, right here. I thought I was offering a ride. Turns out, it was my heart. I leaned over, kissing him deep, the console no barrier. Best detour ever. Pulling back, breathless, he grinned. To detours. And the homes they lead to. In that sacred space, with kids' voices faint from the radio playlist, we renewed, bodies and souls, unscripted and true. Scandals come, but love? It drives on, windshield wipers clearing the way. The merger with Hale Ventures wasn't a shotgun wedding but a calculated union, brokered over months of tense negotiations in neutral Vancouver, neutral ground, Jordan joked, to keep Marcus from territorial piss. At 43, I'd climbed to CTO, my forecasts powering our global push into climate AI, but this deal meant folding egos into synergy. Jordan, ever the visionary, saw empires aligned. I saw landmines. Board approval came swift. Champagne popped in the executive lounge overlooking the sound. But post-toast, Marcus cornered us in the hallway, cigar smoke curling like suspicion. Partners now, gents. No hard feelings. His handshake lingered, eyes appraising our linked arms. Water under, Jordan replied, smooth. But as he pulled me aside later, tension coiled. He's playing nice, but watch your back, Alex. Old habits. We honeymooned the merger with a team retreat in the San Juans. Cabins on Orcas Island, kayaks slicing emerald waters, bonfires crackling stories. Luca caught his first crab, Sophia named constellations. Evenings, Jordan and I stole to the dock, feet dangling, wine warming our veins. One empire, he toasted, clinking bottles. Think it'll stick? With you steering? Always. Our lovemaking was salt-kissed, waves lapping rhythm to our gasps. Back in Seattle, cracks showed subtle. Marcus relocated his team downtown, his innovations edging into our turf. AI ethics bypassed for profit spikes. Whispers in the break room. Hales cutting corners. Jordan mediated, but strain etched his sleep. Then, the audit bomb. Q2 figures inflated. Marcus is doing, sleight of hand, to juice valuations. Regulators knocked mid-October, leaves turning crimson as our world tilted. FBI suits in the lobby, questions flying like accusations. Jordan's office became war room, me at his side sifting ledgers. He played us. Jordan growled, slamming a file. For control. Worse, trails led to Elena's old contacts, a web-spun pre-reconciliation. She called frantic. Not me, Jordan, swear. But I'll testify. Betrayal's blade twisted. Nights blurred. Kids shuttled to my parents for grandma time. Us burning midnight oil. One dawn, exhausted, Jordan broke. What if we lose it all? The company, the legacy. I framed his face, fierce. Then we rebuild. Like that driveway, from nothing to now. His kiss was desperate, affirmation. We rallied. Whistleblowers from Marcus's camp, Elena's depots under oath. Presser day, rain lashing windows, Jordan faced cameras. Integrity isn't negotiable. We're cooperating fully, committed to truth. Marcus arrested by noon, charges of fraud echoing. Hale folded, We absorbed the salvageable, emerging leaner, stronger. Aftermath healed slow. Elena visited, contrite, bringing Austin pecans for the kids. I should have seen the snakes in my garden. Forgiveness flowed, tentative bridge rebuilt. Winter solstice, we drove to Discovery Park, wedding site, snow dusting ferns. Luca and Sophia romped, building forts. Jordan pulled me to our vow tree, carving fresh. A+J forever. Through mergers and mud, he said. And driveways divine. Our embrace warmed the chill, love's fire unquenched. Spring bloomed renewal, new hires, fresh patents. Luca's bar mitzvah planning, Jordan's nod to heritage, Sophia's marine bio dreams. Life's mergers aren't just corporate, they're the daily yes, binding us tighter. And in every driveway pull-in, we remember, empires rise and fall, but us? We're the constant code, unbreakable. Luca's bar mitzvah at 13 was a tapestry of traditions, my Catholic roots weaving with Jordan's Jewish ones in a ceremony at Temple de Hirsch Sinai, overlooking Lake Washington. The sanctuary hummed with Hebrew chants and mariachi echoes, guests a mosaic. My extended familia from Boyle Heights, Jordan's East Coast kin, Seattle's queer elders who'd mentored us. Luca stood tall at the bima, voice cracking but steady as he chanted Torah, his Haftorah a call for justice in uncertain times. Tzedek, Tzedek Turdoff, he proclaimed, justice, justice shall you pursue. Pride swelled. At 46, Jordan teared up beside me, squeezing my hand. Sophia, 11 now, beamed from the front row, her bat mitzvah looming. Reception at our Queen and Homes spilled onto the lawn. Chuppa repurposed as photo booth, tables laden with brisket tamales and kugel enchiladas. Toasts flowed, my dad's gravelly, to my grandson, who codes with heart like his father's. Elena, reconciled fully, raised a glass, to Luca and the family we all chose. But midway, as Luca danced the oro with abandon, Jordan drew me to the study. Check this. He handed his phone, an email from a whistleblower at a rival firm. Hale's cronies targeting your supply chain. Sabotage inbound. Adrenaline spiked. Marcus incarcerated, but his tentacles lingered, disgruntled allies plotting payback. Tonight, I hissed. Ruins the vibe? Yes, but we handle it. Jordan's resolve was iron. The man who'd kissed me in a storm, now shielding our joy. We slipped away post-cake, kids oblivious in the fray. Driving to the office under harvest moon, city aglow, tension thrummed. Remember our first all-nighter? Jordan asked, hand on my knee. Q3 crunch. You brought donuts at 3 a.m. Smile tugged despite dread. Office dark save our floor, servers humming like sentinels. Alerts blared, shipments delayed, code tampered. I dove in, fingers flying over keys, tracing digital footprints to offshore proxies. Jordan paced, phone glued to regulators. By 2 a.m., breach contained, firewall fortified, evidence packaged. Got M, I said leaning back. Exhaustion warred with triumph. He pulled me up, into his arms. My hacker hero. Our kiss ignited, desk edge biting hips, urgency born of defiance. Clothes shed in haste, we claimed the space. His, ours, bodies urgent, reaffirming control. Dawn broke as we drove home, kids still abed. Note left, adventure night, back soon. Love dads. Slipping in, we collapsed, entwined. Morning brought fallout, arrests in Manila, headlines hailing our vigilance. Luca, groggy over cereal, asked, Dad, why'd you guys vanish? Family business, Jordan winked. Like your Torah, pursuing justice. Eyes lighting, Luca nodded. Cool. Winter deepened resolve. Sophia's bat mitzvah followed, her speech on ocean advocacy moving us to cheers. We expanded the family, fostering teens, guiding through coming outs. One snowy eve, driveway idling, Jordan turned. 13 years since that rain. Best decision, chasing you. Mutual. Kiss lingered, snowflakes melting on skin. Life's pursuits aren't linear, they're code, bugs and beauties, debugged with love. And ours ran flawless, heart at core. Sophia's high school graduation dawned golden over the sound, cap and gown a flutter of teal against the auditorium's brick. At 18, she'd blossomed, fierce activist, valedictorian with a full ride to UW Marine Sciences. Her speech a clarion for climate equity that had the principal dabbing eyes. Luca, 16 and lanky, hooped from the stands, his robotics club trophy gleaming in his lap. Jordan and I sat front row, hands clasped, the arc of years etched in our grips, calluses from keyboards, rings worn smooth. At 53, Jordan's hair fully silver, a distinguished fox. Me at 49, curls threaded gray, lines from laughter more than loss. The twins' journey mirrored ours, stumbles and stands, identities embraced. Luca's quiet queerness unfolding with our steady hand, Sophia's allyship a shield for others. Post-ceremony, chaos of hugs and photos, my parents beaming, Elena toasting with mimosas at the waterfront reception. To Sophia, saving seas like her dads saved each other. Evenings wound down gentle now, dinners with stories, Luca's MIT dreams, Sophia's internship dives. But legacy beckoned. Jordan, eyeing retirement whispers, confided one twilight drive. What next, Alex? After Empires? Us, I said simple. Travel. Mentor. That cabin in the Cascades. His smile lit. Sold. Yet transition tugged. Board pushed succession. Luca too young. So we groomed a queer Latina VP. Mia, sharp as I once was. Handover gala loomed, bittersweet. Night before, old fears surfaced. Jordan paced our bedroom, moon through blinds. What if it's too quiet? No crises to conquer. I rose, arms circling. Then we make our own adventures. Love-making slow, exploratory, mapping new contours, time's gift not theft. Gala sparkled, Pioneer Square strung with lights, toasts to eras. Jordan's speech. Hayes started with a vision. But Alex? He gave it heart. To Mia, the future. To us, the ride. Applause thundered. Our kiss drew cheers, unapologetic. Post-retirement, Cascades cabin became haven. Hikes through evergreens, stargazing decks. Luca visited with his boyfriend, first pride flags waving. Sophia, girlfriend in tow, debating policy over campfires. One autumn dawn, driveway of our city home. Kept for visits, Jordan idled the hybrid. Full circle, endless loop. Kiss deep, leaves swirling witness. Decades hence, at 70 and 66, mobility aids and memories are companions, we drive slow. Luca's tech firm thrives, Sophia's conservation NGO global. Grandkids clamber, echoes of tiny feet. In every pull-in, that first storm whispers, change everything. And it did. Into a life woven rich, love the enduring thread.